Welcome to the Baseball Insiders. It's a beautiful new week. I am Adam Weinrib alongside FanSided's MLB insider Robert Murray. It is June 26th. We are drawing ever closer to the trade deadline. Most of our preseason playoff picks are 500-ish or under, and we have to sort out some of these teams that are supposed to be contenders but are still missing one or more key pieces. And hopefully we will get to the bottom of that, as again, we're just about a month out from the action. Plus, who wins the NL Central? Is it the fun option or is it one of the more standard options? We'll try to handicap a favorite at this point in time. Plus, it's not every day that the Angels put up a 13-run inning in a 25-1 win and make 2 trades for infielders. So we'll empty the notebook a little bit with some details on what's going on in Anaheim. Robert Murray, it's a pleasure to be back. It's a pleasure to land in New York and get back to my apartment at 2 a.m. Eastern from San Francisco. I can smell colors now, but it's great to be on the show with you as always.
Yeah, it's great to be here. Great to have you back home. That trip looked absolutely electric from everything that I saw you post. It's also good to be back in Arizona. Let me tell you, being in Wisconsin for 2 weeks and like dealing with like 60s and 65 and then coming here to 110, kind of punching me in the face a little bit. But you know what? I like being punched in the face. That sounds kind of weird.
No.
I don't like being punched, but you guys get, you know what I mean.
Everybody knows what you mean. That's the best part about this show, that we always know what we attract a fan base that knows what you mean. Obviously, a burner Oracle was wonderful. I was in like bought like 12th row tickets for what it cost to sit in the effing bleachers at Yankee Stadium. So that was great. I wore Giants. I basically cosplayed as a Giants fan, and a guy sitting next to me was kind of like, I think I said something offhandedly like, never been to San Francisco before, so this is amazing. And he's like, you're a Giants fan? You never been to San Francisco before? And then for the rest of the game, I kind of had to just lie and be like, yeah, I like told him a story about how the Norwich Navigators minor league team in Connecticut shaped my fandom. And he was like, yeah, I get it, man. That would be the case if I lived there too. So whoops, that's my bad. But it was a great guy. I said, some kind of professor. The Giants got whomped. Gary Sanchez homered, but it was a beautiful ballpark.
You know it's going to be a good show, by the way, when you mentioned the Norwich Navigators. Did I get that right? Within the first 2 minutes of the show. So we're off to a roaring start over here.
I did have a great experience at a Navigators game. Dan Ortmeyer, who is a top-ish prospect, I guess, like top 30 in like 03, 04, brought me on the field, gave me a bat, and I was just telling that guy the story, and he was like, well, it's no wonder you became a Giants fan. And I had to be like, yep. I just was like, sure, why not?
Hey, you know what? JT Snow took a picture, or he signed an autograph picture, or he signed a picture of me with Winnie the Pooh. That's how I became a Giants fan growing up. So there you go. There's a little insight into how I became a baseball fan.
There you go. That'll get it. Again, our audience knows exactly what you mean. Some might not. They do. Buster Posey was in my section too. I don't know what he was doing there. If he was evaluating the roster based on that game, I think it's a big pack your bags, Alex Wood. But it was a great experience. They also serve a Lagunitas beer that is tiki themed and is inspired by the zombie cocktail. It A, tastes delicious. B, it's in the fridge. You can't see it. It's 10 alcohol by volume, 10%. So maybe if you're thinking about ordering a beer at Oracle Park, ask them what the ABV is. Don't just try to read it through the fridge because they might get you. They got me. I think that's why I maybe lied to this man about my fandom.
You know, I mean, alcohol can make you do some crazy things, and it makes you lie to random strangers. So, was it tasty?
Extremely. I went to the Lagunitas Brewery too while I was out there on a Friday afternoon. So I guess I followed Lagunitas around the Bay Area. It was a great weekend. It really was.
There you go. That's what we like to hear.
But we are back. Now I don't have to worry about spending money on that trip. I can use some of that money on becoming a new DraftKings user, I guess, in theory. I probably won't, but you might if you have not yet signed up for DraftKings. If you're a new user, you can receive $150 in bonus bets instantly after following just 3 steps. 1, create an account. 2, deposit. That's a separate step. And then 3, wager $5 or more on any sport. Whether your first wager wins or loses, you will still receive the $150 in bonus bets. All you have to do is use the code BASEBALLINSIDER when you sign up. like the name of the podcast, but singular, just one insider. The best part is using our code Baseball Insider not only gets you the bonus, but it also supports the podcast. If you are considering signing up for DraftKings, definitely go ahead and use that code Baseball Insider to maximize your first bets as long as you are in a legal gambling state, physically present in that state, and you are 21 plus and a new customer to DraftKings. Please remember to always gamble responsibly. Check the episode description for the full terms of the offer. We're going to have some more offers coming at you over the next couple weeks as well. We are getting close to setting up membership opportunities and things that we can do on this feed for you. If you're joining us on the YouTube channel, we have some business that we can attend to. So not ready to reveal options there quite yet. Give us a heads up. Let up. Did everybody hear me all right?
Yeah, you cut out there for a little second there.
Yeah, it seems like I did. I just got a weird alert saying.
Yep, there it goes again.
Been connected this entire time, so not sure what's going on there. But either way, membership opportunities forthcoming, opportunities for chats with us, exclusive information that you can subscribe to. So stay tuned for that. We will get you more details there. I might as well turn it over to Robert Murray now, considering I'm getting mysteriously muted by my own microphone. Robert, we got some teams that need fixing that are supposed to be the big boys, not just the teams that are barely contending in the wild card race. And I think potentially the Padres deserve the first spot on this list of theoretical contenders on the brink, because they are not beating the Washington Nationals. And Xander Bogaerts is pissed. He's basically saying, we're supposed to be the Padres. They're supposed to be the Nationals. What is going on? That's the prevailing sentiment right now in Padres land.
Oh, it absolutely is. And the fact that they lost to the Nationals, and also it's kind of funny, it was to Mackenzie Gore, who was the headliner in the Juan Soto trade, of course. Things are not looking good for the Padres right now, and they're in a really interesting position. They're almost 10 games back in that division. They're under 500. I asked somebody today if they could, actually somebody asked me today if they could possibly sell. I checked, and they have some big pieces there. Obviously Juan Soto, Josh Hader's a free agent at the end of the year. It would take a pretty epic collapse here for them to even consider moving those pieces. So I don't necessarily think any of those players are going to be on the move. But they need help. They need help badly. They need a catcher in the absolute worst way. That's been their priority, trying to address that position the last couple of years. They tried for Wilson Contreras last year. They tried for numerous different guys. They acquired Austin Nola from the Mariners. That clearly did not work out. I don't know who those options are going to be this year. Maybe Yan Gomes, but I don't know if the Cubs will move him. It's going to be a really interesting little position for the Padres here. And these next couple weeks are going to be very, very telling for exactly what they can and what they should do.
Based on what I saw from Gary Sanchez against Alex Wood, I feel like they fixed their catcher issue, but there's still some work to be done there. And yes, if I cut out or have audio issues for the rest of the podcast, if I have a bad take, just blame it on the audio issues. I'm sure it's not me. It's not my brain power. It's not my lack of sleep. It's the microphone. The microphone made me say that. Yeah, the Padres have a lot of needs, still an unfulfilled promise of the preseason maneuvers. And like Justin saying in the comments, the farm system, not there right now. A lot of teams who have the same needs as the Padres could potentially outbid them because the Padres emptied names like Mackenzie Gore over the past couple years for other win now moves. So best of luck to the San Diego Padres moving forward. What about the Houston Astros, who won their first extra inning game of the season last night on Sunday Night Baseball? They're now 1-6 on the year in extras. That could be the difference in and of itself between contending for the West and contending for a wild card spot. But what do they need right now as they sit on the edges of the wild card race, other than a reliever who does not balk?
Yeah, I mean, I'll say, even though you said other than, they need a relief help badly. Rafael Montero has not been it in the late innings. That signing from the offseason kind of looks like a disaster at this point. They made the trade for Spencer Watkins with the Baltimore Orioles. He provides innings and rotation help and rotation depth. I still think they could use another person there. They've dealt with a numerous amount of injuries too throughout their offense, so maybe another back can make sense. But a smorgasbord of different things is definitely could be on the menu for the Astros, and obviously a burner. I'll give you this on the Rays. Wouldn't surprise me if they're aggressive, looking for some pitching help. I think that's something that we should keep an eye on here in the next month or so.
The Montero thing, wasn't that the one deal that they did while they were negotiating with James Click before they let him, like when they had no GM? Didn't the ownership group just give out the Montero contract?
Yeah, because I remember when that deal was made, nobody, I mean, outside of the negotiation, knew exactly who ended up like doing that deal for Houston, and it just felt really odd because it was a pretty hefty contract. That was one where I saw the number, it was just like, whoa, okay, that was more meaningful and more. It was a higher dollar amount than I think anybody could have anticipated. Yeah, it's funny. And now we're talking about that deal as one that has not worked. Who could have seen that coming?
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and blame Jeff Bagwell. Yeah, obviously a burner. It is funny that we don't talk much about the Rays and their deadline needs, and I guess the reason we don't is because we're like 80 games into the season and they're still perfect. But stay tuned. We'll certainly cover them as they come. And do you feel like they might be, Robert, more aggressive on the rotation front or in the bullpen?
TBD on that. You can make the argument for both. Just you can never have enough rotation help. Obviously, like you've seen injuries decimate other teams' rotations. Obviously, the Rays, they've dealt with injuries in the rotation this year too. Their bullpen has been inconsistent in a few different ways too. So you can make the case for either. I don't like. We don't have this in the rundown, Adam, but I'm gonna mention it now. I think a team that could be really interesting to watch here might be the Arizona Diamondbacks. That's a team that a few other teams are just watching closely as a team that can end up making a splash because they have a good farm system. They are contending this year, and if it allows them to compete and maximize this window for this year and also continue doing that in the future, I think they absolutely will explore it. I wonder what that could look like. But I know that might be a team that could be more aggressive than some others might be expecting.
Yeah, if not now, when? And I know that, I still love the eye test from time to time. I will say a guy who's gotten lost in the shuffle for Arizona this year, Alec Thomas, who ended up going down to the minors for a little while. Over the weekend, I saw Thomas at bat and thought I was watching Corbin Carroll until he was stinging a ball through the hole. The stance looks different. The approach looks very similar. And Thomas hitting 400, 10 for 25 with a homer and just 4 Ks in his last 7 games. So, like, the eye test matches the stats. And what does that mean? Does that mean he's a suddenly interesting, expendable piece, considering they were so successful without him? Does it mean McCarthy is expendable? I mean, they do need rotation help for sure.
Yeah, and
not going to cut it.
I'll tell you, Justin, that was one that I thought about in the back of my head too, is Corbin Burns. My guess is that probably does not happen because the Brewers, I don't think they want to sell at this deadline, especially some key pieces. And Burns has struggled this year, so you'd be kind of selling low there. But I like where your head's at because that's something that I had thought about too.
Still a lot of firepower down there for Arizona, and sort of on the edges of the top 10 too. Like Ivan Melendez, very interesting player. Like I don't know if you want to go that deep. I love my Diamondbacks, so we'll certainly keep our eyes on them over the next couple weeks as well. What about the dumb Yankees? The very dumb New York Yankees who can't hit at all, improved to 2-10 without Aaron Judge yesterday when the opponent scores 3 or more runs. Just when the opponent scores 3 runs without Judge, you can basically wrap it up. Except for yesterday against the first place Texas Rangers. Apparently, they're the only team susceptible. The terrible Yankees offense is their kryptonite. Luis Severino beats the Rangers offense 1-0. I can't make heads or tails of it. But the Yankees clearly need an infusion of talent at the deadline and won't be getting Aaron Judge back for quite a while. How do you think they attack this?
So I'll start with this Aaron Judge thing. It has been really interesting to follow what the Yankees have been saying about this, is that they expect Judge to come back, but they don't know when, and they're actually not committing to him being back. It's very strange. And I'll tell you, that injury, that was somebody that, oh boy, my dad's watching from the airport and he's texting me now. It's what a guy. He's something else.
Get the Lagunitas, Mr. Murray. It's
no, no, exactly. But the Yankees, I mean, there was one player that they could least afford to lose, obviously, and it was Aaron Judge. And losing him for any amount of time hurts, and it hurts a lot, especially an offense that struggled without him. Their deadline focus, to me, has to center around adding another offensive bat or two. And whether it's an outfielder or somewhere else throughout the roster, you need to add at least a bat or two, and then have that ready for when Judge comes back. And then, because their bullpen and their rotations in good shape. I think offense has to be the focus there, and I think they absolutely should buy. I'm curious what you think, Adam.
I think so too. I mean, it's lefties. They're in a crazy place right now where they have the best bullpen ERA in baseball. They have a rotation that is theoretically getting Carlos Rodon back in a couple weeks. We shall see. But Clark Schmidt's been good lately. Severino coming off a hot start. But yes, they continue to lie about Aaron Judge's injury. It's almost like they treat their fan base like toddlers. Maybe that's what the fan base deserves. But they're like, okay, we can't upset them. We can't say it too loudly. So let's say he's got a sprain. And then a couple weeks later, let's say he actually had 2 sprains. And then a couple weeks after that, Judge can say that he tore a ligament in his toe. Like, Judge said that on Saturday, not the team. He was like, hey, a torn toe ligament's a tough one. And everybody was like, we didn't know you had that. So it's going to be a while. But, I mean, you're right. This offense obviously can't afford to lose Judge. They shouldn't be this bad without Aaron Judge. LeMahieu and Rizzo and Donaldson and I mean the big bats, the stars on this team have been unplayable. Giancarlo Stanton got a hit yesterday. Congratulations, because it's been bleak sailing for him up to this point. So I think they should probably treat this like a team that's a bat or 2 away, but there's no need to pack it in. These stars need to play better. Billy McKinney and Jake Bauers have been great. That is embarrassing for the Yankees.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And like the Donaldson situation, like that was bizarre with him in that meeting with Aaron Boone yesterday. And yeah, I mean, we haven't figured out exactly what that was all about. But it's just, the vibes are not good with the Yankees right now. That Donaldson trade, I mean, you could have seen that coming from a mile away. That was a disaster. It's no surprise that has not worked out at all.
Yeah, that one's just so weird. It's exactly what you do if you're so rich that you're like, I can absorb the worst players in the world and keep on spending. But then they absorb Josh Donaldson, and then they were like, Josh Donaldson is now hamstringing our payroll. It's like, okay, well then why do we have him? But I digress.
No, I mean, you're spot the why. I wish you could. I wish you could.
Me too. Yeah, go buy some bats. We're going to do a bonus in terms of contenders on the edge, because this contender is like maybe below the edge at this point. But what is going on with the New York Mets? What are the Mets? We had some Mets questions about potentially selling Scherzer and Verlander in the chat. And I mean, I guess, but they're making $85 million this year to be 40 years old and average in this rotation. Buck Showalter brings in a reliever who hits not 1, but 2 Phillies with the bases loaded yesterday, saves David Robertson for nothing. Shades of Zach Britton. I mean, what can this team sell? Should they? I mean, aren't they kind of just stuck in between? They certainly can't trade top prospects for an infusion of talent midseason, 8 games under or wherever they are right now.
No, they can't do that. And I can't envision any scenario in which they move Verlander, Scherzer, or even Pete Alonso. To me, they're in a really tricky spot because they're all in. And if they do move anyone, it's going to be guys like maybe a Tommy Pham or an Adam Ottavino, or, I mean, I don't know how much value Jose Quintana is going to have right now, especially considering that he's coming off the injury. And then Mark Canha maybe too. It's a really interesting spot, and with their struggles this year, and if it does not continue, is only going to make that David Stearns talk grow even more. And that's it's a fascinating thought, because after this year, his contract with the Brewers is up and he's free to talk to any team. Like, you hear the connections to like maybe the Astros, which I mean, I don't think they're going to do that now with Dana Brown there. So I think it was Bob Nightingale connect him to the Boston Red Sox. I don't know necessarily how that would work with Chaim Bloom there. But the Mets just make so much sense for him. And if their struggles continue this year, then I think Steve Cohen opens up his wallet again and spends big for David Stearns, because he's going to command a pretty big contract.
Yeah, Steve Cohen, say what you will, is not a deeply unserious individual, like Brian Cox said to his sons on Succession, sons and daughter. Steve Cohen operates ruthlessly. He's tried to spend his way out of it this offseason. He brought back a lot of key pieces from last year at a huge cost. He added Justin Verlander. He thought he'd done good. Maybe not so much. Need to get a steward in there who can really run this organization. Because like Michael is saying in the comments, like, it's really hard to argue the Mets are a good run organization right now.
No, it's absolutely right. Like, to be fair, it's a step up from what it was under the previous ownership with the Wilpons. I almost said the Aldersons, but the Wilpons. But there definitely could be things that are like that could be done better. And I think David Stearns would go a long way toward doing that, because he's like spending a lot of time around him in Milwaukee. He was really good at maximizing different competitive advantages that other teams didn't necessarily think of. And I think that'd be really a good thing for the Mets and allow them to take that next step forward. But man, they need help badly.
Yeah, obviously your burner is right. It feels like a slight improvement on something that needed a toxicity enema. And so we'll see what they have in store for us next season. With, again, Justin Verlander still under contract, still 41 years old next year. Best of luck. What about a team trending up, or are they trending down? The Angels scored 13 runs in an inning and won 25-1 on Saturday. A game that I missed at this wedding with no service, by the way. So imagine leaving a ranch with no service to find out that the Yankees beat the Rangers 1-0 behind Luis Severino, and the Angels beat the Rockies 25-1. That is a jarring visual to encounter in the wild. But they lost the series. They lost the series to the Rockies and won one of these games by 24. So this is still a roster that needs to be supplemented. They get Eduardo Escobar late last week from the Mets very suddenly. Mike Moustakas joins the Angels roster after that beatdown. Moustakas, immediately after losing 25-1, packs his bags, goes to the other clubhouse, and then loses the next day, which, again, that's got to be a huge bummer. But they're loading up on infielders without Anthony Rendon, without Gio Urshela. Where else do you see them supplementing, and are they getting closer to complete on offense, or are they going to go deeper here?
Yeah, I'm going to go all in here with the Angels talk. I'm going to start with the trades that they did make. And Eduardo Escobar, that was somebody that made sense for them and made sense for the Mets to move. And the timing on that one kind of caught me off guard a little bit, just because I didn't necessarily think that the Mets would be open to moving him at that point. But everything that I had gathered in the previous weeks was that the Angels were very serious about being aggressive in addressing their infield. And that was Escobar, that was calling up David Fletcher, and then it was acquiring Mike Moustakas. It was the second inning when I got a text in that game that the Angels had traded for Moustakas. And I sent a bunch of texts out, and usually if something is wrong, like you'll get denials. I was getting nothing. And I'm thinking, this actually might have a shot at being real. And all of a sudden, after the game, I find out, yeah, it's about to be announced, but it's true. Got to report it, and it was their third infield addition within like a 72 or 48 hour span, something like that. And I think that was kind of a precursor for what they're going to end up doing at the deadline, is they want to maximize this year. They want to They want to win. They want to get to the postseason. They want to make a postseason run, because doing so ensures their best chance of retaining Shohei Ohtani. That is the theme for the Angels' season, is they want to win and they want to keep Ohtani. And that's why I think with Artie Moreno still owning that team, you can't rule anything out with them. He is as unpredictable of an owner as there is in baseball. And that's why I think there's nothing should be ruled out with them. I don't necessarily know what that would look like. But I think the Angels, as they've shown, they're going to be aggressive. And I think they're not stopping. This is going to be one of the more aggressive teams here at the deadline.
You can't. You have to look like you're trying to retain Shohei Ohtani, even if you don't have a chance to retain Shohei Ohtani. So the more you buy, the deeper you go. This is a deeply strange season for the Angels, but at least they're in a playoff spot. They're in the running. They're not buying from 8 games out.
No, exactly. And they are, sorry, I just got a text, but they are nothing crazy yet. So fingers crossed, but they're going to be aggressive. That is, I feel very confident in saying that. In the coming weeks, I'll be able to find out for sure what exactly they're going to be targeting, but that's the team that I'm going to be watching pretty closely here. That's for sure.
Yeah, want to get nuts? Let's get nuts. They might be the only team that is not subject to like the seller's market. Like they might just be willing to pay whatever price. We've talked about like, ooh, the White Sox, how all in are they going to go? And the Cardinals, how all in are they going to go? And beyond those two, like no one's really selling. So gonna be tough. It does kind of feel like the Angels, whatever they want, they might just be like, take it, take all our stuff. Like we don't care about the market price.
Yeah, that's something that I had thought about too, is them being willing to overpay to try to, I mean, they've gave up some meaningful pieces to acquire Escobar and Moustakas, like, and that kind of caught some evaluators off guard. It's like that trade for the Mets was a good one, especially for a player that I think was going to be moved within like the next 5 weeks. But I that's going to be something that I think I don't know if the Angels, let me rephrase this, is the Angels, their desire to compete this year with Ohtani to try to keep Ohtani may end up causing them to be a little bit more aggressive with moving their prospects than I think they previously would.
Yeah, it's kind of like when you really want a lobster roll and you're like, market price, what the hell's that? I don't care. I'll pay it. Like 35, 40 bucks. It's a little too much for lobster, but I want it. So I'm going to go ahead and get it.
That's a good analogy. I like that a lot, actually.
There you go. Tell your friends. On No Sleep, I'm kind of an analogy guy. So that's kind of how it goes.
Well, I like analogy, Adam. That's especially lobster rolls. I'm always a fan of lobster. Can't go wrong with that.
Now I'm hungry. I'm going back to the Cape in 2 months. I'll be grabbing me some lobster as well.
Attaboy, some lobster. Yeah.
The lobster of this weekend in the game, kind of the Reds and Braves, kind of maybe the best series of the year, or at least like the best attended series of the year. Cincinnati trying to show out on Friday night in front of a massive home crowd. Oh, just nothing major, just an Ellie De La Cruz cycle and Joey Votto coming back with 2 bombs. But the Braves are contenders. The Braves go ahead and win those next 2 games. They rarely lose in June, just like the Reds. Give them a little not so fast. Runners on the corners, 1 out against Raisel Iglesias, induces the double play up 1 in the 9th yesterday. Great series, and probably most importantly, Charlie Goldsmith of the Inquirer tweeted the total attendance for this Reds 3-game set, 126,724, is the highest attendance figure for any 3-game regular season series in Great American Ballpark history. So you bring them a team, the fans do come. Kind of ironic as Rob Manfred is blaming the fans over in Oakland. Cincinnati, they got your prospects come up, team starts winning, fans show up in a great baseball town like Oakland. I was in San Francisco, did not make it over to Oakland, even for 1 second. So I guess maybe I'm the problem. It's me. Sorry, Rob Manfred. But the fans are back in Cincinnati. It feels good to say we believe in the Reds right now. Are you letting recency bias sway you? Who is your NL Central favorite at the moment?
Anyone who's watched the Baseball Insiders can confirm this. I have been back and forth on the NL Central all season, and I'm going to maintain that. I think the Reds are legit. I think they are the favorite in that division. They're good. They have the it factor. They obviously have the young talent that's headlined by Ellie De La Cruz, who has just taken over baseball as maybe the most exciting player already after 2 weeks, which is a crazy thing to say, but that's the case. That's reality. He's just been that good. Then you have Joey Votto coming back. You have all the surrounding pieces throughout that team. And as I've mentioned on the last podcast, they now go into these games expecting to win. They don't go in expecting to lose, but they expect to win. And that has been a drastic change from their previous, basically decade at this point. And even Joey Votto mentioned that, and he went out of his way to compare Ellie De La Cruz to Mickey Mantle, which I had to make sure that was a real account when I saw that, just because that was some high praise. But wow, he's been that exciting, and the fact that he's drawing those kind of comparisons already, we might be looking at a generational talent who's only just getting started here in baseball. So give me the Reds here in the division for this year.
Yeah, De La Cruz being behind Anthony Volpe in the preseason prospect rankings, it's I like Anthony Volpe, and still Ellie De La Cruz does things that most human beings do not do. So I think maybe that might have been a miscalculation. I'm gonna go with the Reds as well, just because I mean, what is for me? I don't believe in the Brewers, and I think they'd be better served selling at this point. There's some long-term core pieces there. I like the young outfielders, but the negative run differential on the season tells the whole story. I think it's the Reds or the Cubs, quite frankly.
Cubs, interesting.
Cubs are plus 32 in that department right now, and they played very well in the first game in London over the weekend. Marcus Stroman leaves with a minor injury. I think odds are maybe leaning in their favor. Justin hates when we say positive things about the Reds because he's just worried about down the line and who pays De La Cruz and all that talent, their big money contracts. I prefer to live in the moment. I'd just rather live here right now and have a good time.
Exactly. That's because, let's just enjoy what's going on. The Reds, they're competitive for the first time in years. They have an extremely exciting prospect here in Ellie De La Cruz, and they got more guys coming down the pipeline too. It's an exciting time to be a Reds fan, and we should celebrate that because it has been quite a while since we've been able to say that.
If the Cubs could just solve their bugaboo against above 500 teams, they're only 17-28 against the cream of the crop. They could maybe contend here as well, but the run differential indicates there is more beneath the surface that has yet to be tapped. Give me the Reds, though. I really love what I'm seeing, and they are deep. A lot of Reds fans, they made the playoffs in 2020. It's true, but between the previous era and 2020, not a lot to cheer for, and the 2020 season was 60 games long, and fans were not allowed to go to those games. So you are right, but I think that season, trust me, as a Knicks fan who also had a pretty fun 2020-2021 playoff run, it wasn't real for me until they did it again this year, and I could go, and I could be like, this is sick. Now I'm in the arena watching my team ball out instead of being like, wow, a cardboard cutout is loving watching Reggie Bullock hit threes. This is epic. So yeah, I prefer this.
No, I hear you on that one, my friend. I absolutely do.
Well, we're the ones who said that the Cardinals were going to run away with the Central, so why trust us? But up till this point, I do feel better about the Reds. And good shout out to the Pirates on being the all vibes team of April and May. Perhaps they will get back there by next year. Anything else I missed while I was gone? Anything in the notebook that we got to empty? I tried to keep up as best I could. Obviously, biased. I think the Padres are the best team in baseball based on what they did to the Giants during the one game I attended. But other than that, is there anything going on in the world that I missed? Any insight that you have?
Yeah, there is. I mean, I mentioned a couple of them that I had during the show with the Diamondbacks and the Angels with some of how that stuff went down. I'll give you one more. The Pittsburgh Pirates. There has been reports today about Andrew McCutchen being a trade candidate.
Yeah.
I will put that in the extremely unlikely category. He is somebody that wanted to be in Pittsburgh. He texted Bob Nutting that he wanted to be in Pittsburgh, and they ultimately made it happen. He has made it very clear, both privately and publicly, that he does not want to play for a different team other than the Pirates. Like, he wants to be in Pittsburgh. I can't envision a scenario in which he changes his mind or the Pirates trade him, because if they do, they're going to upset a franchise icon, and they're also going to really upset their fan base. I think McCutchen is there to stay, and I'm not really going to be tracking any Andrew McCutchen stuff, because I just think, honestly, it's a waste of time.
When he texted Bob Nutting, did he get a text back, or was it just sort of like a one-way street?
I'm pretty confident he got a text back. Yeah, I'm pretty confident about that.
Great. Well, good to know. Good to know. We'll keep monitoring that as the weeks go by. But that is it for today's show. We appreciate everybody joining in. Lively comment section kept me awake better than caffeine ever could. And I mean that literally. I had a lot of caffeine, and it did jack shit for me. I'm still very tired. So I appreciate the comment section for keeping me up. And again, if you accidentally heard something like, oh, the Cardinals might win the NL Central, that was audio issues. That was my microphone. So that I didn't really say that or ever think that, or that was just the microphone talking.
I'm just glad the microphone made it through the rest of the podcast, because I was thinking that was going to be a bit of an issue. But hey, we made it through. Adam, I appreciate you, man. You're an absolute G as always. And also everybody else that tuned in today, thank you for a very active comment section as always. That was fun reading those. Yeah, Justin, obviously a burner. Michael, Mark, all you guys, we appreciate you.
Yeah, you people are the best. And remember, good opportunities coming around the corner for our fans, listeners, and viewers. The loyal ones are going to have a good golden opportunity in the coming weeks to have some access to maybe some information for only the top commenters and fans. So keep an eye on that. We'll keep you posted when we are able to roll that out. We'll let you know on the details specifically. But until next time, Robert Murray does not get better. And it definitely does not get better for both of us than during trade deadline season. We can't do this without you. And we're several weeks away. We're a month away, and we're already getting the good stuff. So I appreciate you so hard, man.
I appreciate you too. Should only be getting more exciting, and hopefully we can break a couple of trades here on the podcast. Because yeah, I'll tell you, this past few days, breaking some Angels trades and some different trades, that was quite exciting. That was fun. So hopefully we can do that with you guys. But for myself and Adam, we appreciate you all.
Yeah, let's roll more futures game stuff. The roster's announced tonight. We had Kyle Harrison last week. That became official today. Just another reason to listen to the pod. Tune in on the YouTube channel. And again, we'll drop you the offers when we have them. Baseball Insider, the DraftKings promo. See everybody on Thursday.
Thank you, everybody.